Have you ever wondered why some YouTube tutorials just blow up while others seem to disappear in a thin air? Well, I can tell you right now, it is not luck. Today, we are cracking open the playbook that the pros use. We've taken all the best advice from the top creators and boiled it down into a step-by-step guide for making tutorials that don't just teach you something, but actually grow your channel. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to walk through 5 critical stages. First up, and maybe the most important, we'll tackle the biggest hurdle, your own mindset. Then we'll build a strategic blueprint, learn how to craft that perfect hook, master a simple pro-level production setup, and finally, we'll unpack the real secrets to explosive growth. So let's get into it.
Before we even think about cameras or microphones or scripts, we have to get the foundation right. The real base of any successful channel isn't about what you do, it's about the mindset you bring to the table. It really does all start with your why.
Gary Vaynerchuk's philosophy here is, well, it's brutally simple, isn't it? He's basically saying that real, lasting success doesn't come from chasing likes or obsessing over your subscriber count. It comes from having a deep, internal purpose. It's about completely separating your sense of self-worth from what other people think. And for him, that's not just part of the equation. It is the entire equation.
So, this is the question, the one you have to ask yourself, and you've got to be honest. Before you even start worrying about the YouTube algorithm or what gear to buy, what's the internal roadblock? What's that thing inside that's stopping you from creating and sharing your value with the world?
And here they are, the usual suspects, right? The fear of being judged by strangers on the internet, or even worse, by people you actually know. The fear of looking silly or that nagging voice in your head that says, who even cares what I have to say? Look, the key is to see these for what they are. They're just fears. The real choice is, are you going to live your life on your terms, or are you going to let these fears call the shots?
Okay, so with that foundation in place, now we can get strategic. And this is where we flip the whole creative process on its head. See, instead of starting with a cool idea and then figuring out how to package it, we're going to start with the very first thing the audience sees.
This is a total game changer. Seriously. Top creators like April and Alter have been saying this for years. Your title and thumbnail, your TNT, as they call it, that's not the last thing you slap on at the end. No way. It is the absolute first thing you do. Why? Because it's the promise. It creates the expectation that your entire video has to be built to not just meet, but completely exceed.
So once you've got that title and thumbnail locked in, you've basically got 2 ways to go with your script. You can go word for word, which is awesome for being really precise, especially in that critical intro, or you can just use bullet points, which can give you a more natural conversational feel. Look, neither one is better than the other. The right choice is just the one that gets you to actually hit that record button.
All right, we've planned our video around a killer title and thumbnail. Now we've got to deliver on that promise, and it all comes down to those first 20 seconds. This right here, this is where the battle for a viewer's attention is either won or lost. I mean, just look at that number. According to analysts like Nick Nimmin, you can lose more than half your audience, right there, in the first few seconds. This is why your hook isn't just a nice little intro, it's a survival mechanism. If you don't immediately prove to the viewer that they made the right choice by clicking, poof, they're gone.
So how do you exceed their expectations right out of the gate? Well, you use a little psychology. Input bias is the key. It's a simple idea, really. When we, as humans, see that a lot of effort, time, money, energy, went into making something, we subconsciously think it's more valuable. So your job in the intro is to signal that effort. And this is how you do it. This proven 4-part formula is your secret weapon for a killer hook. Number 1, immediately deliver on the promise of your title and thumbnail. No bait and switch. 2, create a little curiosity. Ask a question, tease a result. 3, give some super quick context on what the video's about. And finally, number 4, show off your hard work. Leverage that input bias. If you nail these 4 steps, your viewers are locked in for the ride. Okay, now that we've got the viewer hooked, let's talk about production. And listen, you do not need some crazy expensive studio to look professional. We're going to look at a really smart method for creating high-quality tutorials using the gear you probably already have. The whole idea here is so simple. Just use the best camera you have. And for most of us, guess what? That's the one in our pocket. By connecting your smartphone to your computer and using it as a webcam, you can get a massive upgrade in quality for free. The key is just making sure your setup is consistent every time so you can focus on your content, not the tech.
Here's a simple 4-step process for a perfect recording every single time. First, when you're screen recording, choose a specific application window, not your whole desktop. That maximizes the quality. Second, zoom way in so people watching on their tiny phone screens can actually see what you're doing. And that quick 30-second test at the end? Trust me, that's your insurance policy. It'll save you from the nightmare of re-recording everything because of a bad mic or a weird glitch.
And let's just hammer this point home, because it is so important. The world watches YouTube on phones. This one tiny adjustment, zooming in before you record, is the difference between a tutorial that's actually helpful and one that's just frustrating. Honestly, it's the single biggest thing you can do for your audience.
Okay, you did it. You made a fantastic, professional-looking video. Now, how in the world do you get people to actually watch it? For that, we're going to turn to the case study of Beluga, one of the fastest-growing channels in the history of YouTube.
I mean, just look at this timeline. This shows you what is possible when you have the right strategy. Beluga's growth wasn't just a lucky break. It was a carefully planned approach that took this channel from just 800 subscribers to over 4 million in 3 months. Just wild.
So how did he do it? It wasn't an accident, it was a system, a 3-part system. First, he needed a catalyst. He used an existing channel to give his new videos that initial push. Second, he obsessed over session time by creating these short, super bingeable videos that kept people watching. And third, he absolutely mastered that title and thumbnail strategy we talked about earlier.
There is some deep psychology going on in Beluga's tactics. His titles are super short and really relatable. His thumbnails create this intense curiosity because they're paused right before the big punchline. But here's the most genius part, the amateur look. In a feed that's just full of polished, perfect graphics, his intentionally blurry thumbnails, they look more authentic. They stand out and just demand that you click them. It's reverse psychology, and man, does it work.
So there you have it. The mindset to get over your fear, the blueprint to plan for success, the formula for a perfect hook, the method for pro-level production, and the strategy for truly explosive growth. We've laid out the entire playbook, from start to finish. The only question left is, what are you going to create?